Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North Fair Oaks Community Council meeting for the month of June. Sorry. I've been at home for so long that I get it all confused, but it is June. Welcome. And Mitzi, if you could please do roll call.
Of course. Chair Everardo Rodriguez.
Present.
Vice Chair Juan Carlos Prado.
I think he might be muted because I saw him here. Yeah.
Okay, I'm unmuted here.
Great. Councilmember Beatriz Cerillo.
Here.
Councilmember Linda Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Blair Whitney.
You seem to be muted, Blair.
All right, I'm here.
There you go.
Councilmember Jennifer Reese.
Here.
Councilmember Rosaura Lopez.
There you go.
Here.
Youth Member Francis Santos.
She just sent me an email saying that she was having trouble with her internet connection and she was not going to be able to join us. And I think that's all of us. Thank you, Mitzi. For public comment, there's still if you want to make a public comment, there are 2 minutes. If you have anything that is not included in tonight's agenda, it'll be taken now. Otherwise, we will wait until the end of the agenda item for related comments. Is there any public comment from anyone?
No public comment.
Great.
And then I'll turn it over to Victor.
Thank you, Mitzi. There's no one.
Thank you. Chair, we turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mitzi, and thank you, Victor. So third item, and pretty much the main item of tonight's agenda, it'll be assessing the community needs in response to COVID-19 pandemic. And it'll be a discussion facilitated by Cecilia Taylor. Welcome, Cecilia, and thank you for joining us.
Great day, and if I could, Chair, just a brief introduction for Cecilia Taylor for anybody who didn't catch it earlier. This is Justin Mates, Deputy County Manager for the county. We asked Cecilia to help us today facilitate the conversation about assessing community needs in North Fair Oaks. Cecilia Taylor has been working with us at the county, looking at using an equity lens to look at our COVID-19 response. And so she's been working with us for several weeks now on that front. And we thought she could also help us facilitate the conversation today. Cecilia lives in Menlo Park and just happens to be the mayor of Menlo Park, but tonight she's here working for the county, not in her capacity as an elected official. And with that, thank you and welcome to Cecilia Taylor.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you so much for having me. I am very grateful to help facilitate the discussion between our community-based organizations and the council. And so at this time, it would be great to for me to share my screen with you. I believe I need access. Thank you. Try to enlarge it. Essentially, for our community-based organizations that are present, the first one on my list is the Fair Oaks Community Center. Ms. Chin is here. And the question that I have on the screen is, how has the demand for your services changed? Ms. Chin, are you able to see the screen?
But I think that was the question, how has the demand for our service changed? So over the last 3 months, we've had incredible demand. We actually spoke about this at last month's North Shore Community Council meeting. And in terms of just kind of data on it, of course, our biggest demand has been in the area of rental assistance through our COVID-19 Relief Fund. And as I mentioned previously, we have received over 1,000 requests altogether. Some of those are duplicates. Some of them are more than one member of a household. So we help the one member of the household for the whole household. So the actual number assisted is going to end up being probably closer to 700 or 800. But when we look at our information for this year compared to last year, as of about a week ago, I haven't actually rerun the numbers. We have seen 600 more households this year than we saw last year. And of those households, 500 have come for services just in this period of the last 3 months. We definitely know that there's a need for food in our community, but because the Fair Oaks Community Center is only one of those venues for foods, a lot of what we have done is connect people to the services available in the community. And I know some of the partners here this evening that are on the call are part of that network of providers of food for our community. So while I would say that in the community there's been a demand for food, I would say really the biggest demand, as I said earlier, for us at Fair Oaks Community Center has been the piece related to actual rental assistance. We do continue to provide homeless services and have had a good demand for homeless services, have been able to successfully get some of the people that are in the higher risk category for serious illness from COVID-19 into the special site that was established by the county for that purpose. And we are kind of winding down our assessment of requests. We hope to be finished within the next week or two of all the first-time requests, and we'll be expecting that the people who are returning, the people who've been calling us about can we help them a second time, we will begin to be able to process requests for second-time assistance. We also anticipate as we move a little further into the pandemic and possibly, hopefully out of it, we will begin to also entertain the request for assistance related to utility. Up until now, we have not been focusing on utility assistance given the fact that none of the utility providers is actually executing any kind of shutoff if someone is behind on their payment. But we do know that in this time period, it is very likely that a lot of people are accumulating as well delinquent payments for their utility assistance. So I think that would be probably what I would share with regards to demand for our service. I would say that when COVID-19 hit, we did make a decision to focus our programs and services on these very essential needs for our community. And that does continue to be our primary focus. We did reopen our child care center. It's operated by a private nonprofit agency, the Redwood City Child Development Program. We did open the week of Memorial Day, and they are now serving about 20 children of parents who are essential workers. And on July 1st, we are expecting to add another 20 children, keeping all of the protocols necessary in terms of size of group, pods for the kids with the same teachers, et cetera. But we do expect on July 1st to be able to further expand that capacity, which of course is another need in our community to make sure that we do have the childcare available. And this is, I will note, a subsidized childcare program. It's subsidized by the state of California, and about, I would say, 90% of the families that are in that program are in fact on subsidy. So these are working families who still need some sort of assistance because of their income level to be able to provide childcare for their family.
Thank you, Ms. Chen. I appreciate all the information, and I wasn't sure if anyone on the council had any follow-up questions. Okay, we will move on to the next community-based organization. The next organization on my list is the Multicultural Institute. And Mrs. Cervantes?
This is Cesar Mesas Vele, Cecilia.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Cesar Mesas Vele, and I'm on the Day Labor Program Director in North Rocks. And actually, we changed our, regular outreach with the day labor community and domestic workers for a virtual outreach. And we are been working more than regular hours because the needs who are out there is overwhelming. And actually, we are being trying to help to be in the bridge between the resources available and the day labor and domestic workers community. For example, we have been helping them making the applications for the rental assistance in coordination with the Ferox Community Center. And I would like to remark the wonderful job that the community center has been doing on that regard. And also we are being helping the day laborers and domestic workers, and not only them, because they are being referring people to us, other members of the community, low-income families. Also for the DRIVE program applications, the PEBT cards applications, we have been referring people to the places where they can get food, and also registrations for the COVID-19 testing. And the most important part is trying to be in emotional support for the domestic workers and day laborers, because they are struggling a lot. So they are suffering the fact that they cannot work. They're not having income at all, or not that much, in order that they are not being able to pay the rent. So the rent has been accumulating, and we're so grateful, and they are also so very grateful, the people who get the rental assistance. And also we have been referring the domestic workers to the National Domestic Workers Coalition, and they are also being helping domestic workers with rent and also gift cards. So basically we are trying to catch all the resources available for our people in North Rocks and make it available for them. So we are seeing more than ever, the gap of technology access, because many of these programs require some technology access. So, for example, for the DRIVE program, I've been creating around 40 emails in order to submit their documents. So also, I would like to say thank you to the Catholic Charities, because they have been working super hard, and I know how overwhelming it's been, this job. So I would like to say thank you. Indiana is here, so thank you so much for that tremendous work that you are doing. And also we've been helping and assisting domestic workers and day laborers and other families in the community to be counted. So we are part of the San Mateo County Community Complete Count. So we are working very hard in order to be sure that all our people are going to be counted. So, and also being struggling with some families with COVID-19, and in fact, I found 4, families, all of them with COVID-19, and we're trying to, make resources available for them. Unfortunately, one of our day laborers passed away a couple of months ago, and that's the sad part. And yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Cesar. I appreciate the information that you just shared and with the update. very heartwarming, the work that is being done. Thank you. Are there any follow-up questions from the council?
No.
I do have a question, and actually, I think we were all muted for during the period of questions for Ms. Chan, but I'm not sure if there were any questions. But anyway, I think there will be another opportunity for questions later. But I had a question for Cesar. So Cesar, thank you very much. My heart goes out to the family, and to your group, of course, for the death of this man. And I wonder what happens when a member of a family from those that your organization helps. What happens when one of the family members gets infected? Where do they go? Like if they live in one single room or one single house, how are they able to separate themselves?
So actually, we detect 3 different cases ever. 2 cases were families, so people related, and they went to, one of those families went to Hayward, because we are talking about on April or something like that. They went to Hayward in order to get the test. So, and it was, there are 9 members in that family, and all of them with the COVID-19. And they received the health support from the health department, from the Mateo Hospital. And right now they're in good condition. So the other one, it was a family of 3, and same thing. And the other group of people, it was non-related. And we're talking about 7 male. As all of them, they have their families in their countries. And 2 of them were hospitalized because they had diabetes. And they were hospitalized at the San Mateo County Hospital. And the other were asymptomatic, the other 5. And one of those who were hospitalized passed away, and his whole family was in Guatemala, actually. So in the hospital, we contacted them. So the hospital was helping them in connection with the Guatemalan consulate in order then to send the remains to Guatemala, to the family. So, and the rest, actually, we're helping them with emotional support and being sure that they are receiving the medicines or the health care that they need, and it's being provided by the hospital, the San Mateo County Hospital, as far as I know, and also we were able to get rental assistance for all those families, and also drive program.
And I wonder if in these sort of situations where there may be need for an additional room to either isolate somebody or house them temporarily. I know that the county has been implementing hotel rooms for homeless individuals. And I'm wondering if in these situations, the same possibility could apply. Do you know, Cesar?
I know about that service, Ever. Well, I cannot say fortunately or unfortunately. So we didn't find those cases yet with one person who needs to be isolated. So, but I know the resources that the county is providing, but I don't know how those resources are working so far. But obviously, something that pop up right now more than ever is the housing crisis that we have in the county, especially in our immigrant communities. So because if one person is infected, there's no way to isolate that person in a house or an apartment, because they usually are living with many people in small places. And it's not only that, it's not only the fact that they cannot isolate themselves, but it's also the mental problem that they cause. Because if you need to stay at home 24/7 and in a space that is toxic, basically, because you cannot even move. So you can imagine how difficult it is for the people in the mental health. So it's something that we need to work on it. We need to do something because people are not able to pay their rents. So the landlords can increase the rents as much as they want. And this is something that we need to do, and we need to do it together.
Right. And I think I had heard that if a person was infected with COVID-19, that a social worker could arrange or refer that hospitalized individual. But I guess we can get more clarity.
Through the chair, if I could,
Yes.
just on that point. Yes, we do have we have hotel for homeless individuals. We also have our shelter space, but for non-homeless, for the sort of thing that we're talking about, we do have a hotel with some capacity for folks who are confirmed positive, who cannot isolate at home. And the best way for folks to find out information about that is through 211.
Okay.
That's the best way to get connected to whatever type of housing resource may be needed for somebody who has COVID-19.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks very much. I don't know if other council members have questions for Cesar.
I have a question.
Yes, Beatrice.
Technology is very important to access information that one needs. How do we guarantee that that their devices have the capacity that they need for them to be able to access the information that they need? And are these, like, whatever company it is that bill also being due, and just like rent, and how is that being addressed?
So in our case, Beatrice, our experience on that. So many daily laborers, they have some kind of smartphones. So that's why we've been able to filter and share information to them with massive text. Actually, that was one of the first steps. We contract one of those services in order to be sure. For example, today I sent the about the extension of the moratorium. So they or put all the documents together and sometimes convert it in a PDF, or the picture is a little complex. And when you ask them for an email account, probably 89% don't have an email account, and they don't even know how to use it, and it's required. So we have been trying to be that, fill that gap with at least with the people that we serve. But obviously we need to think further and probably educate people and make the technology devices and knowledge available for everybody. Because if you don't have access to technology these days, you don't have access to many things, including right now all the resources available around.
Right. Also, the support you need to be able to navigate your devices, who to call, when to call, those questions that come up if and when at that moment. So it's the whole thing combined that we need to make sure that our community has access, but just the availability when they need it, where they need it at that time.
And I think it's more important than ever to work together as a team into the community. So I had a conversation the other day with Linda. Linda was remarking that the coalitions that are, being created these days with organizations and other stakeholders. So, and it's like, and trying to be creative. So the community center, for example, was asking volunteers to help community members to make the applications online. So we need to find, the answers to those questions or needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, if I may add, this is Ana Avendaño from the Fair Oaks Community Center. So, Assessor mentioned, one of the things we did was, gather all these other nonprofits, community partners that were eager to volunteer, and we worked with Redwood City 2020 to help us coordinate other partners like Caron and Cesar as well, and other nonprofits that volunteers, individuals just wanted to help us. So we gathered a list of over 100, maybe close to 150 clients that needed the assistance to either help them navigate their phone or their computer to go through the online application, but then also to complete it for them. So we had a really successful team of volunteers, and that's one of the things that we learned. And we were able to see that, there really is a need with the digital divide in our community, but we were able to really gather the support from community members to, even though they had challenges with accessing the survey or uploading documents, we really try to figure out all the different ways to be able to make sure that clients still submitted their applications. And even if they weren't able to text us the documents or upload them, we still made ways for them to come in person, just to make sure that there was no roadways for them to submit their application.
Okay.
Can I add something, if I may? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi guys, Sal from the Sheriff's Office. So as Anna mentioned, so because technology challenges, one of the things that the Sheriff's Office did is our community program. We were happy to help about 40 people fill out rental assistance applications because a lot of them couldn't do this stuff online. And we've been very, very busy on our social media as far as putting out messages and health updates and what people should do. But we realized with the Spanish-speaking community, technology is a challenge for many of them. So to try to help with that gap, we had staff members actually make phone calls to the family members in North Fair Oaks that are registered through our system, and to basically check up on them and make sure that they were okay, or any resources that we were working with our partners, make sure that we could get them to those services. And then also we use a system called Textly, where we would send out messages via text, and we have about 500 families from North Fair Oaks that are registered in our system, and we would send mass texts with information where they could call to get some of that resource information.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Sal. Any other questions from council members? Otherwise, we can proceed. I don't see any, so I guess we can proceed. Ms. Taylor, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had my hand up, Ever.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Linda, go ahead. I didn't see it.
So just to add to the ongoing progress in with the digital divide challenges, there is a group of community under the name of Climate Ready North Fair Oaks that is working with Stanford, and they have conducted some preliminary evaluations of exactly how many people we're talking about. So the initial evaluation analysis that was done has the number at, it's between 12 and 17. So it's not pinpointed to anything more specific, but in order to, the question was asked, how many people are we talking about? So we're looking at anywhere from 12 to 17% of North Fair Oaks residents that are not connected.
Okay.
So that was the first step. So I just wanted to let you know that there's continuing progress on doing the analysis, getting the numbers, and then out of that will come a proposal to San Mateo County to assist in making sure that we're all connected. So this is no longer a problem. But I know individual nonprofits are doing what they can, and thank you very much for that. But we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just briefly, so there are three potential issues, out of the technology divide. One is access to the internet itself, which is a challenge. The other one is how knowledgeable individuals are when they need to use, any electronic device, whether it's a cell phone or a computer, an iPad. And so the numbers that Linda was quoting, I believe that those are also using not updated information. I think they were pulled from the previous census. So, we need to take it with a grain of salt, because the number, also based on the economies of families who might have needed to cut internet and other services just to survive, then those could also account for, additional numbers.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairperson Rodriguez. I was writing down the three things that you just stated, but I only got two. You said access to the internet, and then the second, how knowledgeable individuals are. And then what was the third?
So the other one is to take the numbers that Chairwoman Linda Lopez provided with a grain of salt, because they're based on older census data. So it's not 100%, current.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it. And if there aren't any other follow-up questions on this, from this organization, we can move on to the next one, which is Karen. And here to provide information is Ms. Corpus.
Hi, good evening. Actually, Sergeant Sal Zuno can provide more information about CARON, but I could talk a little bit about these services in regards to our law enforcement services, and he can talk about the community policing efforts that we do in North Fair Oaks and how it's kind of changed in regards to COVID. What we have done is, we've had to work around COVID in regards to the shelter in place when it comes to parking and street cleaning. So we've been working with the community members and not citing people because we know that people could not move their vehicles. We will start back up in regards to, asking people to move their vehicles in phases, but we still will be flexible with them. And then we've also had a lot of challenges in regards to, when you think you're at home, it's a safe place, but for a lot of families, it's not a safe place. And we've been working with our partners at Cora in regards to messaging, because we've had a spike in domestic violence cases, about 20% more than what we averaged last year. And so we've really been working with Cora and getting the message out and doing some virtual conversations surrounded around that. And then, I will be sitting on a panel in the end of the month, at the end of July, to talk about law enforcement and to talk about equity and everything with Cora and my role as a commander in North Fair Oaks. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to those conversations for healing. And I'll send it over to Sergeant Zuno so he could talk about the work that we've been doing with CARON and our Sheriff's Activities League and the community policing efforts.
Okay. Thank you, Captain. So for us, the adjustments we've had to make over the last couple of months is we've had to really increase our social media presence as far as creating content that is useful to people, actual valuable information. A lot of the information, because a lot of the information is out there, not a lot of the important information is out there in Spanish. So with the people on my team, like Jose Luis, we were able to translate it in a way that it would be simple to understand. And because there was a lot of confusion about all the information people were hearing on the news with what they can do, what they can't do. So because we have a loyal following, we have people that know us and trust us, they would come to us for questions. So through our social media, we're put out safety tips, stuff about social distancing, people wearing their masks. We did this through videos, not just text, but videos to actually get people to see what we were doing. As far as community support, we partnered with Casa Círculo, and we donated about 500 masks to those that needed it in North Fair Oaks, and as well as our community on the coast. We also donated masks to the hospital, to the San Mateo County Medical Center. Working with our SAL team, every month we've been donating about 8,000 pounds of food to needy families that are registered with us. I can't think of another law enforcement agency where there's uniformed officers delivering food to needy families. So it's as far as the visual, it's really good because we do everything we can to remind people, say, hey, we are your uniformed law enforcement, but we are here. We are here when you need us for through the good and the bad. We've also just recently we've started our tutoring program for the youth in the community because of the challenges in the school. So we're starting to tutor the younger kids. Another thing we did that was great was we did a virtual. Actually not a virtual. For the seniors that participate in our program, we put together a photo shoot. So for 30 seniors that participate in our Sheriff's Office League program, we were able to do a photo shoot for them and their families and provide them some sort of graduation, because these kids come from challenging neighborhoods, from challenges in their families, and the fact that they've worked so hard for the last 4 years, we wanted to do something to show that, hey, we appreciate everything we're doing and we're behind you. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And are there any follow-up questions from the council?
I have a question. The seniors that have been alluded to, are they the services, or who is in charge, or do you? I guess my question is that I hear some seniors that are just alone, isolated, have real challenges because of this isolation. So have you come across any of those families that have senior grandmas, grandpas that are just going through like very difficult times right now because of the isolation?
The answer is yes. Unfortunately, this whole, for many reasons, this whole shelter in place has affected many people in different ways, some harder than others. So our SAL program has
I hope that the community members will come forward so we can talk about the 4th of July and, how we can further our efforts really at a higher level.
Yeah, and then for education and awareness too to the community, some of you may already receive one. For those that live in North Fair Oaks, saw a yellow door hanger that went out like a mailer, basically informing people if they see or hear illegal fireworks, what to do. We also put a video out on our social media that, as of right now, has been viewed over 500 times. So we do what we can to get the word out there to educate people that, hey, if you see something suspicious, or in regards to the use of illegal fireworks, call us. And like the captain said, we do have a special enforcement team that is on, throughout this period, just to try to enforce that, and because we want to minimize the disturbance to North Fair Oaks and minimize any unnecessary injuries or fires, because unfortunately that's why those fireworks are illegal, because they're dangerous.
Thank you for highlighting that issue. I know that is not only an issue for North Fair Oaks residents. I think all the surrounding communities from Menlo Park, Atherton, and Redwood City. I've seen an awful lot of complaints in social media about fireworks going off these days, and it seems like last year there was either last year or the previous year there was perhaps a better coordinated effort to curtail fireworks, because I know that there were flyers and particularly advertising fines that people would receive, if they were caught using fireworks. And I have not seen too much of that this time around. But thank you again. And I think Juan Carlos had a question. He had raised his hand.
Yeah, I want to just raise concern about the fireworks, particularly in the area of North Fair Oaks, where there's a larger concentration of people. And I'm talking particularly Hampshire, Warrington, and Halsey. If you go to the corner of Warrington and Halsey, you can see the fireworks debris that is left there. The fireworks has been going on for about a week. And actually, while I'm having this meeting with you, I can hear the fireworks going on in Hampshire here. I have the window open. So this is a nightly occurrence going on. And as we get closer to the 4th of July, it's incrementing. So I'm glad that the Sheriff's Department is proactive on this, and it's going to take the community as a whole to participate in the enforcement of this. But I can tell you, if we can increase the sheriff patrolling the streets that are particularly higher in concentration of the noise, and it's very concerning because there's lots of children around the fireworks. All I can tell you is what I see here almost on a daily basis on Warrington Avenue.
I completely agree with Juan Carlos, what he says. We are, this is a problem for us. It's been an ongoing problem. Like the captain said, unfortunately, it's happening everywhere. But at least for North Fair Oaks, because we have increased enforcement, we have dedicated deputies that are basically just driving around trying to locate the sources of where these fireworks are being used.
Thank you. Thank you for all the information that you provided. And I hope everyone has looked in the chat to see the information that Mr. Salvador provided for us. And at this time, we're going to move on to the next CBO, which is Catholic Charities.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diana Otero, and I'm the Director of Operations of the Immigration Program at Catholic Charities, and we support the San Francisco, San Mateo, and Marin counties. And it has been definitely the pandemic has affected largely our immigrant community. We all know that the government right now is making things more difficult, unfortunately, for the community. in particular undocumented immigrants. And at this point, one of the challenges that we have right now is like being able to serve more and more people because the need's still there. We understand and we know that for many of the undocumented community members that live here in our neighborhoods, the fact that they were not able to receive any support from the government, the fact that right now they're losing their jobs, they don't have access to insurance, or they don't have access to any type of support, it has to do with the main issue that they are undocumented. And for us, it's like trying to figure out how can we continue to help them. Things have changed dramatically because of COVID-19, and we are no longer seeing clients in person. That really presents a big challenge for us to just do phone interviews. We change our models. We are helping people over the phone. But as Cesar and many other of our leaders in this call, they have mentioned how difficult it is for people that unfortunately are not really computer savvy, or sometimes they don't really have the tools to get access to services. That has really presented a big problem for the community. Like we, before every Monday, we have our doors open for all the people that want to come, not all of them, but we have at least able to serve at least 30 people every Monday with free consultations. And it was like first come, first serve. It was very easy. And unfortunately, after COVID-19, we couldn't do it anymore. So we needed to create a different system. People will have to register online and call. And it has proven that it's not as easy and for the challenges that we all know. But we are trying. It is taking longer to process applications because of because we are not in the same room and people cannot sign documents immediately. But I do wanted to say that I wanted, and now because I have the opportunity, I saw him here and I haven't seen him in a while, Mike and Emma and the county, and I'm very grateful for the support that the county has given us to provide legal services to the community, because I think that's really very important, and especially now for those that are not going to be able to get any federal assistance. If they have litigation, they have documents in this country, they will be able to apply for unemployment. They will be able to receive the stimulus from the government. And so making sure that we are able to continue to provide free legal representation to them is really key and vital right now. And I'm extremely grateful for the county for their support. As many of you know, we have been in charge of distributing funding through the DRAI project. We have helped so far 27,000 people from all the Bay Area. We have received close to 4 million calls, not 4 million people calling, but 4 million calls that we have received. And as you can imagine, it's really challenging to hear the stories and to listen to what their struggles and to know that we only have $500 to give to each of them. And to know that it's just like a little support when we know that the need is larger. But I know that at least we are supporting them. And I'm just really grateful because just to have the opportunity to do this type of work and to be with the community. And I think that we, as a community, we need to try to fight for immigration reform. I think that this is a good opportunity. People call almost 4 million calls we got. And I'm hoping that, if we can have those people calling the state, calling Congress, perhaps we can also try to get something permanent for the community, because that's exactly what they need. I think that's what I wanted to share with you. And thank you so much for all the support that we got from every single one of you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the information, Ms. Otero. And 4 million calls. I don't even know how to respond to that. In the interest of time, I just wanted to ask if there are any questions for the council, if you could put it in the chat, and it would definitely be captured as a part of this meeting. We still have one CBO to share what is happening, and that is the Boys and Girls Club, and Mr. Mike Jones is here.
Good afternoon. Great to see everybody here. So happy Thursday. At the Boys and Girls Club, we just started our summer program virtually for K through 12. It's been great. We've been serving high school kids. We're serving over 100 a day virtually. That's incredible. And then we just started our first week of K through 8. Another way we're serving the community, we've been serving 2,500 meals a week from 5:30 to 6:30 every day. So it's been steady. I thought it might be on decline, but it's been solid all the way through. On Wednesday and Thursdays, our numbers are very high. We serve 1,000 meals because we partner up with Second Harvest. We give out dairy products on Wednesday, and on Thursday, we give out fruit and vegetables. So it's been very, very steady going along.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Jones. I didn't expect it to be that quick, so.
We're dancing, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. And at this time, since that went so quickly, I don't know if anyone had any questions. Your person, I'd like to start off with you to see if you had anything else that you wanted to add.
Chair, I apologize. Cecilia, Linda has our hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't able to see you, Ms. Lopez.
Okay. So Mike, what's been the response from parents and how are the parents working with you? But actually, before you answer that, are you Boys and Girls Club at Hoover or which one?
We are located at 1109 Hilton Street, which is located by Hoover Park, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Of the peninsula then.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it's identified. So my question is regarding parent involvement, impact on parent, and how are they more involved with the program or what's going on with them?
Ms. Linda, that is a great question. So as far as we have a cooking program for our high school kids, and it's beautiful. It's every Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's 30 kids in the class. They come to the club and get their supplies and they do their class at home. What we're finding that is just gorgeous to see the parents participate with the kids in the cooking program. It's just such harmony. It's a blessing to see. And they get to make a meal together and they get to eat it and they're waiting for the next one. So that's been a big, big plus there. And that's how we've been communicating with the parents or the parent engagement besides dinners.
And are there issues of mental health, need for mental health referrals? Do you see more of that? Are kids feeling isolated or parents? Because the work you do at the center is great, but then when the kids go home, that's a whole nother story. So is there support for parents if there are real issues?
Ms. Linda, another great question. Just remember that all the kids are at home. It's virtual. We don't have any kids at the site. But we do have a mental health specialist with us on our staff, and she has a full load. She's serving about maybe 5 to 6 clients a day. Wow. Definitely at the beginning, the rise is very high because kids feel so isolated. And the parents that need the extra support, we're making referrals, but we're definitely supporting them in that capacity as well. So to answer your question, there's a little rise, but it's a steady rise, and we're supporting the kids that have those needs.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike.
Oh, you're welcome, Ms. Linda. Great questions.
Thank you. Chairperson Rodriguez, did you have a follow-up or a question?
Mitzi, are there any other questions? Any raised hands?
Through the chair, no, they're not.
Okay. No, I don't have a question myself.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we will move on our agenda, and that is to look at where the gaps are, what the what is the unmet need? And there were a few things that I could hear happening besides fireworks. That was not on the agenda, even though I know that that is a big issue. So just going back to my notes, there was a lot of discussion around food distribution. There was also some discussion around capacity, but to make this conversation, just to move the conversation along, I just wanted to make sure that we capture all of the unmet needs, and then before the end of the meeting, look at what is the number one unneed met. Did I say that right? Unmet need. That is for North Fair Oaks. And at this time, I just wanted to find out if there were anything else that the council heard that they want to elaborate on as far as unmet needs for the North Fair Oaks community. And Chairperson Rodriguez, I will turn the meeting to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. Yeah, and thank you, everybody. All those of you who joined this meeting to provide a report. We appreciate each of your organizations' work profoundly. We know about your work because we have also been collaborating with most of you, if not all, and we know that you are well invested in serving the folks in San Mateo County, not only in North Fair Oaks. And I personally appreciate that and respect your work. So some of the issues, and other council members, feel free to write down your observations and comment by all means. But some of the, I guess, some of the larger issues that I've been writing down as we go along with all the presentations are the following. One that I see from most organizations is a capacity issue. And I want to acknowledge that. I want to recognize that these are extraordinary times, and that each one of you have performed tremendously, in either working with an alliance of other groups or community members. But there's definitely the issue of capacity that we need to underline, whether that is for purposes of funding or staff allocation or whatever, the needs are. But it's certainly a recurrent theme. And so now the other issue that I see taking place is the issue of communication in two ways, primarily as an outreach, as a tool for outreach to really communicate with those individuals who are in need of the services that are available, and also to find out what services are not available and are needed, so that we can request them or create them somehow. Now the other aspect of communication is related to essentially the communities that we are serving, which, unfortunately, these are not communities of regular citizens who are well-versed in culture and language, but these are communities that need a little extra help, whether it is with technology, with language, with access, and so those are issues that are interrelated, unfortunately, for our communities, and those pose certainly a challenge to the organizations lending the services, because obviously, if my organization is used to putting out a form so that people can fill it in and then I can provide my service, that's easy. But if then all of a sudden I have to help somebody to fill out those forms and in a foreign language, that is going to be stressing my capacity as an organization. And so, you know, that I want to really underline the fact that these are different communities. They have perhaps bigger needs than the regular communities. And so that's important to recognize. And then another point is to, and this I've been doing myself, and I know other community partners are doing it as well, vetting some of the services and simplifying the message or the communication, because many times, even though it may not seem abstract for us, you know, it may be abstract for the communities that we serve, and they may not be able to understand, or they may not be able to go to the source of the service, just because, you know, they find themselves lost in the process or in the communication. And so just the last one, to essentially recognize the humanity and the vulnerability that many of these individuals have, particularly the immigrant population, and recognizing and respecting their dignity. I think this group has done a tremendous job recognizing that and respecting you know, those vulnerabilities, and seeing the humanity, and I just like to commend you for that, because that is at the core of the human services that you guys provide and that we promote. And so I'm not sure if any other council members have any additional points or notes to suggest or comments to make.
The chair, Linda, has her hand raised.
So regarding the recent extension of the moratorium, I haven't heard anything about the plan on helping. Okay, once the moratorium is done, people have to pay. So I don't know what the plan is about helping people with back pay. So that to me is an unmet need, only because there's no information or detailed information. So that's something. And then the other one is, actually, no, that's it for me. Thank you.
I can add briefly a comment, and maybe somebody else from county can either correct me or add. But during the last Board of Supervisors meeting, it was the moratorium on rents was extended until July 28th.
Right.
And so I think that was the only action in terms of financial assistance. There are several community organizations that continue to provide some of that assistance to folks who apply and who qualify for, because, you know, they were unable to work during COVID-19, et cetera.
Yeah, this is Justin Mates, Deputy County Manager. Yes, that's right. The moratorium does not specifically address back rent. In fact, the rent is still owed. Eventually, it's just a moratorium on evictions. But as Ms. Chin mentioned earlier, there are some rental assistance programs out there, and Chair Rodriguez mentioned as well. But I'm not aware of any specific forgiveness program at this time.
Then I have a question. My question is, if and when the back pay rent is due, what are our financial institutions' responsibilities to help these families? With low-cost loans, where is the credit union or other local banking systems to help these families who will need to borrow money from some place or somewhere to pay the back rent? That's my question.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was a question to me, but that definitely I'm hearing that's a need that's not met right now.
Right, an amendment, correct.
Through the chair, Terry Chin has her hand raised.
Yes, please go ahead, Terry.
Yes, so I do want to be clear that no single financial assistance program is going to be able to help everybody pay all of their back rent. So I think we have to understand that. And there have been several different initiatives with local groups providing some assistance. And so I would say that with the financial assistance that is available and what we are continuing to do, we definitely want to be able to be there to help where we can. Again, I want to be very clear, we're not going to be able to help everybody pay all of their back rent. In our experience of the folks that we're seeing, and actually a lot of people have borrowed money. I don't know where they borrowed it from, but they borrowed money from relatives or friends or that kind of thing. We are actually finding, like the cases we've been seeing of people that we're assessing and we're still providing assistance to, we get the mixture of people who haven't paid any, and then we have people who've actually been able to figure out a way to pay April, May, June, and now we're actually helping them with July, because we know and we're anticipating we want to be able to try to support them. And that's why we're pleased that we're going to be able to come back around and probably do some second time assistance for some people. And there is a mixture of folks who have started to go back to work. And so I don't think there's a really easy answer, but what is important to also remember around the moratorium on evictions is that there is a piece built into it about time period for payback. And so there is a grace period of minimally 90 days, and there's actually a process outlined by which somebody could request up to 180 days of a grace period to actually be paying their rent back. And what I would say is that Faros Community Center, as the other core agencies countywide, we have received funds specifically for COVID-19, but we also have funds that we use during the course of the year. And so for the folks that 6 months from now are still struggling, they can still come and request assistance. I can't tell you this minute that every single one of those people who comes is going to be able to get assistance, but where people are needing and are eligible for assistance, then there are some ways to try to support them in it. There's no way we're going to answer it all and have enough resources for everybody. But at the same time, I do think that it's important for people in the community to realize that they need to take the step to see, hey, can I get assisted? And, our community has a pretty large network. So there's also the help that can happen through the St. Vincent de Paul Society. So if somebody already got assisted in one place, there might be another place that they can still go and get assisted. When we talk about gaps, and particularly in this community, I think where I see part of the biggest challenge, and I'm actually curious if Diana might be able to talk about, of the people who applied for the immigrant relief funds, do you have like a list of people who didn't get any because either they couldn't, do that next step of providing documents, or you just simply are running out of money and you're not going to be able to help them? And so that's sort of a very specific, concrete, like, oh, is there a way to fill that gap of the people who were not able to access the state's effort to try to fill in for the people that couldn't get federal economic stimulus? Is that something that the county can actually consider and look at? And I think that when we're talking about people that are going to really struggle over the next months, it's not just, the definition wouldn't just be those who are undocumented, because in fact, amongst the undocumented population, there is a segment that is back at work. Construction workers, landscape gardeners. I mean, we got folks that in fact are back out there working, but we have a lot of service sector people, whether they're documented or undocumented, who are not back out there working. So the ones who, and so of course our day laborers, I imagine, Caesar, they're not really working much. If they are, it's very limited. But you know, the restaurant workers, if people are going back, they talk about, I'm working less hours, right? And then the people that are the house cleaners, the nannies, some nannies are going back, some aren't. Because of stay at home, you know, families aren't needing the nanny anymore. And so there is this whole group of people that is also that service sector. How easily are they going to be able to access employment again? And so I just, in terms of thinking about where are there gaps, I also think that there's sort of segments of the population that are probably going to be hit harder and take a much longer time to get to the point of recovery out of the pandemic.
Right. Thank you, Terry. And also I should add that other organizations that do work here in North Fair Oaks and San Mateo County are also invested in trying to continue procuring funds or encouraging county departments to further provide either assistance or extensions, loan forgiveness, etc. So we need to stay tuned and continue supporting those organizations as well. But I believe, was it, I think Rosaura had a question.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, Rosaura, if you still have a question, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I do.
Please go ahead.
Yes. My question is, if the county have any plan to improve the communication in the community of North Fair Oaks? Because for me, it's very important to have, you know, a community, if they have been informed about all of the process, does everyone does they have any plan to do something about it?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to ask either Emma or Mitzi to fill in some of the details, but we have been trying to get the word out specifically to North Fair Oaks about resources that are available to our residents, in not only health-related resources, but financial resources, all sorts of information that's included, you know, door hangers, having flyers available on some of the businesses in Middlefield Road who are willing to pass them out to customers, including, and also as well, a very targeted social media campaign with both English and Spanish language, specifically targeted buys in the North Fair Oaks area. So we have been trying to get the word out in various ways, but we are, and Emma, please correct me if I've missed anything, but we're certainly welcome to other ideas that folks may have on the call today in terms of better ways, other ways we can try to get information out to North Fair Oaks residents about both the health information and the other resources that are available right now.
Thank you, Justin. So Rosada, what we've done, and the council as well, is through our outreach efforts we have, as Justin said, is we've done direct door hangers or canvassing. And so that is 5,200 different households. And we've done that now. This is our third attempt within a matter of less than 2 months. And we actually have a door canvassing effort taking place on Monday again. So some of those door hanging or canvassing efforts with flyers include access to our COVID resource page, the one that we presented at the last North Fair Oaks Council meeting, as well as flyers and door hangers in language, Spanish and English, and we have those posted within our businesses. We also have education about where the next COVID testing sites are at, And so we've been, happy to report that at the last North Fair Oaks testing site, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, over 1,200 people were tested in 4 days in North Fair Oaks.
I don't have the numbers on me, but it was many hundreds, yes.
Yeah, it was at least 400 each time, so 1,600. And so all that took place with our canvassing, and then we have a very micro-targeted outreach approach in language, in Espanol. It doesn't have the county logo, but you'll see that you'll see the different messagings coming through, whether it's Facebook, any social media, Instagram, Telemundo. We have something in Telemundo, Televisión. And so really targeting our Latino community who has been hit the hardest during this time. And so we have been very strategic in doing our outreach efforts to really target our micro-target North Fair Oaks specifically, and done it by zip code, and so very thoughtfully. But again, as Justin said, we're always open to listening and gaining more insight, but we do not only the digital side, but we also do the direct side. The direct hand kind of boots on the ground because of the digital divide, specifically to respond to the digital divide. And part of our approach also included, we did a beta testing that many of you participated in to get really feedback before we went out and did our outreach. And so really going back and doing beta testing before and seeing what works, we really listened. We listened more closely to what is resonating with the community and then apply those messages back out in language.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for all what you do in our community. But I think it's very important to have a community that is informed of all of this, because a lot of people, this is hard for everyone. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you. And I did see on the chat, Ms. Ruiz, you suggested, that's a great idea. We'll look into that. And really, we do welcome, we know that we continue to face a challenge to get the word out there about resources, about health information. So we really do welcome any suggestions or ideas folks have for how we can better get the word out and better serve that community in terms of the information about the resources that are already available out there. Thank you.
And I believe Linda Lopez had a question or comment.
Yeah, Carrie, thank you for doing an outline of what I could see as a plan. All that I'm asking is that my question regarding the back pay on existing moratorium issues, that we're not sitting here at the end of July talking about it, but that we have, by the end of July, come up with an actual plan, come up with an actual list of, because it seems that everyone's doing a piece of the solution, but I think this calls for an overall plan where you actually know what the numbers are, you actually know which families have gone back to work, but some kind of a criteria. And I do agree, Terry, that we may not be able to help everyone, but at least that we don't go into this blind and have pieces of the pie kind of put together and come up with a plan, because the outcome is the prevention of eviction and displacement. So whatever we need to prevent eviction, I would like to see us work on that. The county just recently started a new project called the Countywide Recovery Coordination Council, which is a huge deal as far as having different departments and actually coming up with a plan, which will be countywide. I want to make sure that as North Fair Oaks Community Council, that we are part of that. I know there's some individuals involved in that, but that we get the feedback, that it goes back and forth, not just hear about what the county's doing, but how is that going to meet the needs or meet the unmet needs in North Fair Oaks? Anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Any further comments or questions from council members?
Through the chair, there's no hands raised.
Okay. I wanted to ask Diana if there's still funding available for the program that they're administering.
Yes.
Okay, great. And
we
that
do have.
Go ahead.
We still have. We need to disperse 2,000 more applications approximately, and that's between all the Bay Area. So we continue to encourage the community to call, to insist. We know that it has been very difficult for the community to be calling, and it's not easy. As I mentioned before, we have received so many phone calls, and we do have more than 150 people working on the call center. And even though we have a large number of people working Monday through Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., we are not going to be able to talk to every single one of the people that call us, but we wanted to insist those who are able to call, being patient and persisting, have been able to help 27,000 of them. So I just really wanted to say to people, please keep calling. We still have some money left. And the project ends on June 30th. So we have until Tuesday, and the state has asked us to please try to distribute all the cards by then, at least to complete the applications. And then it's going to take us like few more weeks to the distribution of those cards. But the invitation is for people to keep calling.
And you said the deadline is July what?
June 30th. Did I say July? I'm tired.
No, I didn't hear. That's why I asked again, because I didn't hear the date. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I'll just make this comment. I believe I made this comment last, either during the last council meeting or at another community meeting, that at the beginning of this program that Catholic Charities is administering, a couple of our partner organizations stop encouraging, some of their some of the people they help, because it was increasing the levels of anxiety that the folks already were having. And so, but during the last meeting that we had with the group that we normally talk about issues that relate to undocumented individuals, organizations were more eager to now recommend people to go through the application process, because it seemed to be working much easier now. And so I was pleased to hear that, and I'm also pleased to hear that there's still funds to be distributed. So thanks very much, Diana. And so this comment essentially goes back to the I guess the humanity and the dignity of individuals, whereas it is really difficult in the dire situations that they may be right now, and so their level of anxiety is up to the top. And when they have to either deal with online forms that are abstract or very difficult for them, or other types of difficult ways to apply for assistance, so that puts more impact on the livelihood of some of these individuals as well. So I think that was mainly the reason why, the partner organizations were trying to recognize, the humanity and the dignity of their customers, and essentially asking them to take a break and look for other sources in the meantime. But yeah, go ahead, Diana.
One of the things that I wanted to say is that since the beginning of the project, we recognized that we were only going to be able to serve 6% of the undocumented population living in our counties. And we knew that that was going to be very, very difficult. So definitely since the beginning, we told people it's not going to be for all and it's going to be hard. But the more we were thinking about the project, it seems to me that it was kind of like a raffle, right? Like a lottery. And so then I feel like maybe that should have been the case, so that perhaps people just apply and send, just like we will say, please send us your, text us if you wanted to be part of this raffle. It's going to be a raffle. It's only for 30,000 people in the Bay Area. Send us your names or send us a text, send us a message, or, provide different tools. And then at the end, really do a raffle and then just get 30,000 people, because I feel like that will perhaps diminish the anxiety of people like trying to call, and it's been like 100 phone calls and nothing. And then at least it was only going to be like, okay, try, and it didn't work. I didn't win, but at least it was just one step and not all of the ones that they had to make. And unfortunately, that we were following the directives and directions from the state, right? Like that's what we were told. Like you have to have a call center. It has to work. We were told what to do, and that's what we did. But I think that just think that in mind, maybe what can we do when we are distributing money to make it simple for people, and it's not going to be for everyone. And I understand, for example, people at the beginning, people have said to us like, oh, let's make sure that you focus on families, because families really need it. And then at the same time, I serve a lot of single individuals, like elderly, like they have nothing. Who is going to help them? So I think that it's just in terms of like helping, there is not one specific measure that we could use to say, oh, let's just do it like this, because there's always room for, if we're talking about human beings and lives, and that's the challenge that we have. I think that every story is so powerful. And I have to say to you, I have approved probably close to 1,000 applications. Like I have been like going to bed very late at night. You can ask my husband how hard it has been sitting in this chair until very, very late, approving and reading the stories. Really hard, really, really hard. It's just like, and that's really gives me the energy I have to keep doing this. The community really needs us.
Right. Yeah, no, and we're grateful for that. Thank you very much. I know that Catholic Charities, they have been in the hot burner for a while with this program. So we truly appreciate, and that was a common theme, all of the partnering organizations. We were so appreciative for Catholic Charities to actually being able to step up to the plate and, meet the challenge. Yeah, definitely. But I think Terry and Cesar had their hands raised. So why don't we go to Terry first and then Cesar?
Yeah, so related to this topic, I did want to comment. People might be aware that Legal Aid Society of San Mateo County actually did have a relatively small, I think, program to also provide cash support similarly of that 500 per individual kind of thing for undocumented immigrants in our community. And I know that was distributed countywide. So I don't really know how many North Fair Oaks people were able to access that. And then I'm wondering whether or not perhaps Emma or Justin, if you could give a little update on whether or not the county is still thinking about trying to do something for unincorporated areas. I know that I was asked to be a part of a conversation about like what might that be, and I just was curious, is that something that still is being looked at? Because I didn't actually hear more about whether that was happening. And then I did want to comment about a resource that I was actually just sent this week, and it's actually called the Bay Area Undocumented I'm going to pull it up, Undocumented Relief Network. So this is actually a bunch of funders in the Bay Area who came together and wanted to study a little bit more the issues and challenges specifically for our undocumented population. And so I was asked to kind of provide some feedback of what was happening in our area. They cover the full Bay Area, and they were really wanting to focus a lot on what were the cash support kind of programs that were being available throughout the Bay Area to the different counties. So there is a listing related to San Mateo County. And so I'm going to actually go ahead and email that maybe to Emma, Mitzi, and Maggie, and then you guys can help distribute that with the council, share that where appropriate at the county manager's office too, because there might be some things in that might be helpful in the thought process, not just, Linda's talking about the rent piece, but also just like this idea of how do you help people get some of that additional income support amongst the population that is not eligible for the other income supports that exist in so this very same population.
Correct.
Thank you. And yet, Terry, in answer to your question, yes, with under Supervisor Slocum's leadership, we are exploring a type of kind of cash relief or cash program like the legal aid program, and we hope to have something to announce on that soon.
And actually, I think I can mention, and I'm not involved in the direct details of it, but there is also a private funder who's also looking at trying to provide some post support along these lines in the East Palo Alto and unincorporated North Fair Oaks area as well. And if that funder does go forward on it, I believe that information will probably become public about that in maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's also something for us to sort of be aware of. And as we say in Spanish, pendiente about that one.
Right. Thank you, Terry. And Cesar, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Everett. So I just would like to say something about the inclusion of the nonprofit organizations who are on the field or the community councils like Fair Oaks to be included in the planning when a county level is putting a plan together to distribute resources to the community, to ask those individuals about the details and feedback that we can give, and also include them in the decision making. And because sometimes you are missing really little things that make pretty impossible for people to apply for resources. For example, many people in our North Oaks community, they don't have any kind of proof of residence. And that little thing can block them or don't allow them to apply for resources. So, but the only way that you can know that kind of things is asking us, because we are working with those people the whole year and trying to help them to have access to different kind of resources, not only now, but during the year. And we know that we need to make things easier for them in order to have access to the resources. So we need to try to think out of the box and at this moment and try to simplify the process for the people, because sometimes they are super complicated and there are things that they are not able to, or documents they cannot able to provide. But what about to give the authorization to the nonprofit organization who work with them to provide documents that can help them to apply for those resources? So I would like to ask to be open to that kind of things and at the county level. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar. Is there anyone else from council that may have a question, comment?
I do.
Beatrice, go ahead.
Taxes are come due, right? July 15th?
Yes.
And is there assistance for anyone? Where do they go? Where is the information for that?
I believe the Fair Oaks Community Center just recently had a program. I'm not sure if it's ongoing, but Terry or Anna maybe.
Yes, we are working with TaxAid. They did host a curbside. Sorry, it's really loud in my house. They hosted a curbside service last Thursday, and we're working with them to solidify other dates. I know they have very limited volunteers and staffing, so they're still finalizing, but we're looking into hosting them at least a few, well, if any Saturday that's left, and a Thursday before the 15th or the deadline. Right. But we haven't had the finalized date yet. And I know that their services right now, they're offering it in Millbrae and Sunnyvale. So I have a flyer on TaxAid of the other locations that I can share with you all as well. And anyone can go to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anna. Anything else or anyone else? I believe this might be it. They're about 10 minutes. So I guess I'll give it back to Ms. Taylor, just in case there's anything else to wrap up.
Thank you, Chairperson Rodriguez. I appreciate all of the information that was shared. What I've been doing is capturing the questions and putting them into Menti. And if we can, just give me one moment to make sure I do this correctly. I would like to share my screen, and then we can actually vote on the one item that is most important. And let's see if I can do this. Or at least agree on the items that I put down. And if you can help me, Mitzi, I'm looking for the, oh, I see it. Found it myself, share screen, okay. And hit present. So this is what came up, the questions that I captured. If there's anything on there that you'd like me to change or even delete or add, let me know. I can do that because I'm working on off of two laptops. So if everything is clear there or if something isn't clear, just let me know and I can fix it. And I won't be able to see everyone. So I'll leave it to Chairperson Rodriguez to start it off if there are any corrections or additions that are needed.
Is there a chance you can make the text larger? Larger screen?
If there is, I do not know how to do that. I can read, is it okay if I read the questions out?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Just agree, we can agree to it or not. So the first question says, are there active QR codes to access information? And I believe Mr. Mates may have followed up on that already. So do we want to leave that on?
We're going to look into that.
You're going to look into that. So do we have agreement to leave it on the list, or do you want me to take it off the list?
I think it would be important to include those because I know that generationally, particularly young folks tend to access their information that way. So I think it's a valid request. Yeah.
Okay. The next question says, what happens when a member is positive for, and it should say community member. So what happens when a community member is positive for COVID-19? That was one of the first questions that Mr. Caesar asked.
Actually, doesn't that go with the third one?
Is there service for COVID-19 positive family members in overcrowded homes?
Right.
I think those, it's up to you. For me, I understand them to be separate, but maybe there's a way to have question 2 and 3 be the same. And Mr. Caesar, if you wanted to share your perspective on that, I'd appreciate it.
So my comment on that is that they are separate issues. Although I know these because I've seen a flyer, a communication piece that was put out by county health in relation to what to do if a member of the community tests positive for COVID-19. And it has been done in multiple languages, including Spanish, Tagalog, Chinese, etc. So I think it's just a matter of disseminating better, that information.
So do you want to keep both question 2 and 3 on the list as they are? And this is what happens when a community member is positive for COVID-19? That's question 2.
Right. So my sense is that it would be best to leave it on, because I know that the more information that we provide to the community, the better opportunities are for people to be able to see that information somehow, somewhere. So
Okay.
yeah, I'd be inclined to leave it.
Okay. And then do we agree to keep question 3 on as well? Is there a service for COVID-19 positive family members in overcrowded homes? And I believe Mr. Mates did answer that question earlier. Do we want to leave it on the list?
I answer what's available now, but I mean, to the extent that it captures, that's a concern out there for, potentially an unmet need that family members, can't isolate away from their family, I think it would be appropriate to leave it on there.
Okay, thank you. Question 4 says sufficient access to technology and support to navigate.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
that's on there.
important. Yeah.
Yes.
Question 5, how easily are the service sector non-working going to access resources? So are we okay leaving that one on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next question is there a list of who did not get federal economic stimulus?
Is that a question or is that a need? I guess I'm getting from this list, this is we're trying to identify what the unmet needs are, correct?
Yes. So is there a list of who did not get federal economic stimulus? So it's a question.
Right. So if there is such data, I think it would be important for everybody to have that information.
Okay. The next question is, do we have a capacity issue? And this capacity came up a couple times, and this is capacity for our core service agencies, for our organizations.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should leave. Yes.
And hold on, I think Terry Chin had raised her hand in one of these questions. Terry, if you can comment.
Yeah, it was actually related to the previous one about who doesn't have access to federal support. So that may be one question, but I was also asking about who hasn't had access to the essentially the substitute for the federal support. So like the RAI support. So basically, if there's been these programs made available so that those who aren't able to get the federal support, yet not everybody can get them. I mean, Deanna told us that countywide, Bay Area wide, there was only going to be enough funds for 6% of the undocumented population. And so I guess in that sense, an unmet need is the people who were not able to access what were like the substitutes, I guess, for federal stimulus.
Right.
So maybe it's sort of an enhancement of that stating of the unmet need. There's this thing about people who didn't get income supports that are available at the federal level, and then also there's people who didn't get income supports that were meant to, in a small part, substitute for those federal supports. So it's kind of like twofold. There's still this group of people that didn't get either.
Right.
Right. And so, okay, yeah, leave it. I mean, yeah, it's important. All right.
Thank you. And we're leaving the question on capacity as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The next question is there mental health support for parents? Do we want to leave that on the list, or?
Can we add one word to that?
Yes.
Is there accessible?
Accessible. Okay.
Culturally relevant mental health support?
Yes. And I'll need to do that after I read the rest of the questions. Is that okay, Ms. Lopez?
Sure, yes.
Thank you. Okay. The next question is, do community members have access and availability to navigate technology? I need to make a correction there. And there was a question earlier that was similar.
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah, number 4 is sufficient access.
Can we just combine those?
Yes.
Yes, combine.
Okay. And the last question is, what is the plan to assist community members after the moratorium?
Yes.
Yes.
And were there any other questions that needed to be added?
What does that item 11 refer to?
That was because I did not delete that line.
Oh,
so
okay.
To the chair, if I may, I thought I heard one other one, and I think I'd be very interested if we're going to have a voting after this, was the sort of the income support. Is there, a plan for income support, which is a little broader than AI? So if the council agrees, I thought I heard that as an unmet need as well.
Does the council agree to add, is there a plan for income support to the list?
Is that for everyone, Justin, or just undocumented, or what?
However you'd like to phrase it. There was a lot of things discussed. I might be able to break out that as a form of support separate and apart from rental support, rental assistance.
Okay.
So did anyone have any additional input on adding that question? Is there a plan for income support?
I'd like to see it, because I know senior citizens who are on fixed incomes, and now they have to choose how to stretch their dollars, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me about 2 minutes. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, make the update, and then share it again, and then we can vote.
To the chair, Rosaura has her hand raised.
Okay, Rosaura, go ahead.
A question to add, if there is, sorry.
Say again, Rosaura. Either you are muted, because we cannot hear you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Can you repeat what you said?
If there is any support to pay the utilities to the community, because a lot of people is not working, and we are spending a lot of time in our home. That's mean we are using more electricity and more everything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rosaura.
while we have a moment while Cecilia is updating that list, answer that question. I think as was mentioned earlier, I think a lot of utility companies are having various kinds of programs as well as I believe there's they are not actually shutting off utilities during this time, but I know that you can find more information. If anyone else on the call knows, please speak up. But also, I know we have more information on our resource page for the county, and I think that Emma put it in the chat. But it's a great resource, and we have a whole section on utilities and bills and things like that for more information for folks on how to get assistance, and also just what's the current state of whether or not utilities can shut off your power and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, I also, if I could, I'm seeing a question from Ms. Ruiz in the chat about the jail. It doesn't look like we have anybody still from the sheriff's office on the call anymore. So we'll have to look into this one. I don't know exactly. I know that the jail has a plan for how to address COVID, and obviously, we've seen in the news there's COVID outbreaks in inmate settings, which is very concerning. I'm not aware of a plan to release inmates. I know they've got a lot of plans regarding intake and all that, but that's one that we'll have to follow up with you and get more information, because unfortunately, I don't know the exact answer for how the sheriff is handling COVID in the jail at the time. So we'll follow up on that.
Through the chair, Terry Chin has her hand raised.
Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
In response to Rosaura's question about utilities, so I did mention it in passing as we were talking earlier, that utilities assistance is one of the things that the core service agencies throughout the county are able to also assist with. So that is something that we are able to do at Fair Oaks Community Center. We have not been doing utility assistance. When people call us right now, we let them know that we are focusing on rent assistance, but that once we get past the pandemic and the utility companies are no longer doing what they're doing, which is right now they're holding off on any kind of proceeding of shutoffs, then we would certainly be available to assist people with utility assistance. And there is a particular resource that we all tap into for San Mateo County that is different than the funding sources that we use for rent assistance, which is something called the Central Coast Energy Services. They actually administer a fund of the state of California that is specifically for providing utility assistance. So just wanted to share that as information.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your patience, and the list has been updated. And there may be some spelling errors, but other than that, it's been updated. And at this time, on the top of the screen, you can go to menti.com and use the code 505458 and vote on your item. And I believe I set it up so that you can vote. If you wanted to vote on more than one item, you can.
Can you repeat the code, please?
The code is 505458.
Thank you.
It is also on the top of the screen as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just give me a moment. I'm trying to figure out why it has not updated with the votes. Oh, there we go. patience. Okay. So at this time, there is not a number 1. Oh, it's changing. Can everyone see the screen?
No, you have to share your screen.
Oh, boy. Thank you, Emma. There we go. There we go. So at this time, we see that number 1 so far is what is the plan to assist after the moratorium? Okay, is everyone done voting?
No, I have.
No.
Do I have to leave the Zoom to do this?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You just have to open up another screen. Tap onto another screen.
Unless you wanted to vote using your phone. That's also another option.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, so.
Okay.
I'm not sure what to do, so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
On your phone, you can just tap onto the internet and then type in mentee and then put in the code.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Got it?
Mm-mm.
This.
I went back to see it. I have another screen up that shows there we go. When things disappear, I get concerned. Did everyone have the opportunity to vote?
No, not me. I can see the screen. Something is happening with my connection, I think.
Rosada, can you get onto the internet from your telephone?
Okay.
Given the time, I'm wondering if maybe we can email the information to Ms. Lopez, and then she can vote after the meeting, and that way we won't finalize things until we receive Ms. Lopez's vote. Would that work for you?
And to Rosauda as well.
Yeah. And
yes,
also,
I'm sorry, Ms. Rosario Lopez.
And also me, also.
Oh, Beatrice. So 3 individuals were not able to do these.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you all for sharing the information and getting as far as we did. It was a very productive evening, and I am definitely a lot more informed than I was at 7 o'clock this morning. And I'm not sure what the procedure is as far as closing the meeting, but I'll turn it over to our chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for all your help and for guiding us through this process. We appreciate your time. And so we have item number 4, council members report.
Through the chair, we forgot public comment.
Oh, that's right. So is there any public comment for this particular item, number 3, assessing community needs and responses for COVID-19?
For those attending the meeting on Zoom video conference, we will now use the raise hand feature in order to organize any public comment. During the general public comment period for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask the member of the public to please raise their hand. Is there any member of the public who would want to make a public comment? Chair, we have a public comment, and it's Brooke Esser. Brooke Esser, you are going to have 2 minutes to speak. Give me a second so I can prompt the timer. Brooke Esser, I'm now going to unmute you.
Oh, thank you, Mitzi. Just a brief comment. I had heard, obviously technology and access to technology is an issue in the community, and I had heard a reference to perhaps there being county programs that could assist. And I was wondering if there had been any investigation into state or even federal programs that could assist with the distribution and access and assistance to technology for those who need it. And that was just my question.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
And now, Chair, I will turn it over to Victor Lopez to see if there's any public comments in the Spanish audience.
Thank you, Mitzi, and thank you, Mr. Esser. It's an excellent question and good suggestion, and we will look into that.
Thank you, Mitzi. There are no participants at the moment.
Thank you, Victor.
Great, thank you. And for item number 4, council members report. Is there any council member that has anything to report? It looks like no. So that will conclude our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your patience and your collaboration, your time, your efforts to provide the reports. We appreciate all the information, and let's hope that this will get us, in continue good track to help North Oaks residents, and extend that help to other folks in the county. Thanks again, Ms. Taylor, for helping us with tonight's meeting. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Thank you.